This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome again on our journey this week across Asia and world history. And it's more meaningful, in fact, this week because we have a very special guest whom I rediscovered as I scanned itong mga bali-balita the past week. Suddenly, I saw a familiar face and I saw this on the China Radio International news reports. And so sabi ko, kilala ko to Ano? This is Princess Jacel visiting the tomb of Sultan Sulu Sultan Paduka Batara. I always in the past said Paduka Pahala, but it's more appropriately Batara, ang pangalan po nung Sultan of Sulu who went to China 600 years ago. And so, tinawagan ko yung number ni Princess Jacel. And across the seas pala, from Shanghai. She said, I'm in Shanghai right now. So sabi ko, I want to invite you to our show about Philippines, China, and Asia, and of course, the world. And this is very appropriate. When are you coming back? Exactly that evening or early morning, she was coming back. And so after a day of rest, she's now with us here in our studio, here on GNN. Princess Jacel, who just came from last year campaigning for the Senate, and now she is with the projects on federalism, I think,
Yes,
and other things that we will discover in this discussion. But let's go to Princess Jacel. She's a mother of 4 daughters now, and wife to Lieutenant Colonel Hassan, who is with the Philippine Army,
Yes, po.
and assigned to Zamboanga right now.
Yes.
And you're residing in Davao right now, so
Yes.
that's more convenient. And so tell us how this trip to China was organized, and later on, I'll ask you, of course, it must have been very exciting for you to be in the midst of 600 years of history of your family. But how did this begin? When did you leave for China, and how many days were you there? What were your destinations there?
Okay, first po, una sa lahat, pagbati po ng kapayapaan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh sa lahat po ng mga lahat po ng mga nanonood. Well, this visit was organized when we had lunch with the honorary ambassador to China, Ambassador Carlos Chan. During that lunch, he showed me po a documentary of the people who visited, or the groups who visited Shandong, and asked me, have you been to Shandong? Have you visited the tomb of your ancestor, Sultan Paduka Batara? And I said, I've never been there, but my father and mom went there, I think way back 1999, when it was arranged by Teresita Angsi, of course. But during that time po, kasi every year pala they go to Shandong to commemorate the death of Sultan Batara.
Who is this they?
People from Sulu, mostly politicians from Sulu, and some
every
of
year,
our
every
political
year.
leaders in the
We
Philippines.
don't get much news about their visits there, no?
Yun na nga po But in 1999, when the oldest man daw po from the descendants of Sultan Paduka Batara in China, parang his last wish is to see the place kung saan po nanggaling yung kanyang ancestor. So, ang ginawa po, the NGO of Mr. Sita Angsi arranged for it.
Yung
So,
kaisa siguro, kaisa.
Yeah, kaisa, I think. So they went po to Sulu. Dinala po nila yung eldest member nung clan of Sultan Batara.
Dito sa Pilipinas?
Dito po, sa
dinala
Pilipinas, sa Sulu.
Sulu.
Tapos plus, yung meron din pong may group wherein yung my parents were one of them. So they went po to Shandong to pay tribute to the tomb of the Sulu
That was the
king.
1999.
So sabi ko nga nun, parang, may ganyang storya.
The pictures are still there, no? Yung
Yes
visit
po.
nila, no?
Yes po.
Yeah,
That's
I
why in the
remember
documentary that was made by Ambassador Carlos Chan, I saw my parents visit there.
Okay.
So sabi ko po, yan, those are my parents. Sabi niya, sige, let's see. Pero wala pa ho siyang sinabing date as to when. So I went back to Davao, and a few weeks later, I received a call from the office of Ambassador Chan inviting me to go to Shandong because they're going to visit with Governor Pepito Alvarez of Palawan. So, who am I
Sino
to
pa
say
sa grupo
no?
niyo? Chuck Carlos Chan, Pepito Alvarez, you, your mother was...
Yeah, my mom was there.
so
Teresita Angsi is also with
Teresita.
us. And the mayor of Brooks Point
Okay.
is
It's Palawan
also with
also.
us. Yes, in Palawan also.
So it was a small delegation.
Yes, it was a delegation of 15 people from the
And
Philippines.
How many days were you in Shandong itself?
Well, in Shandong, we spent 2 nights in Shandong.
2 nights, okay.
Yeah. So basically 3 days and 2 nights in Shandong. And then we went to Shanghai.
How many days naman sa Shanghai?
2 days in Shanghai, and then went back to the Philippines.
Okay, straight flight na from Shanghai to Manila.
Yes, po, straight flight from Shanghai to the Philippines.
What was your feeling? Very rarely would people have an opportunity to be in the middle of 600 years of history.
My realization is that I'm really a lucky girl to be able to trace back my roots up to the 14th century.
Yes.
So sabi ko, bihira lang po yung nakakakita ng libingan ng lolo ng nanay niya. Or, di ba, like my mom's lolo, I don't know where it is.
Right,
I've not seen it. But to be able to trace your roots up to the 14th century, I cannot find the exact words how to describe it. Parang it's something, I don't know, parang you have a feeling that somehow you're connected with the past.
That's right.
And that you are part of a very important story of history.
That's right.
That was, that was established 600 years ago when, ang inabutan ko na po kasi ngayon in the Sultanate of Sulu, very ordinary people na living, working to earn for a living. Pero in the past po, they had a very glorious past that they had diplomatic and trading relations with countries, and they were referred to by China as the East Kingdom because
That's right.
if you take a look at the map, we are situated, the Philippines po is situated in the eastern side of China. That's why nung it was still ruled by the Sultanate of Sulu, ang tawag po ng Chinese emperor sa Sultanate of Sulu was the East King. East Kingdom. So when the East King visited the emperor in China and died nga on his way back home to Sulu, wala pa hong Pilipinas nito.
Sulu lang ang Sulu.
Ito po ay during Ming Dynasty,
That's
14th century. And the emperor then was Emperor Yongle.
Yongle,
Yongle. I had to ask Ms. Teresita Angsi for the correct pronunciation of the emperor's name and of Shandong, and the tomb po is in Dezhou, as it's spelled in English, but Dezhou.
Dezhou.
That is how it's spelled in English.
It's a district in
Shandong.
Shandong province.
But it's pronounced daw po as Dezhou.
Dezhou ata.
Dezhou, yeah.
Well, actually, I wonder if they prepared the images of the visit or evidence of the visit of Admiral Zhang to Sulu. This is the tomb of Pun Tau Kong, or you pronounce it as Pun Tau Ko.
Yeah, in Sulu it's called Pun Tau Ku. Maybe because they were just reading the what's written in the stone.
That's right,
So
yeah.
baka natabunan na po yung G.
Yeah.
And
This is
and G, no? So
Danan,
Puntao
Sulu
po.
daw. One of the things I read is, pero meron namang nababasa ko, it's in Holo. Is in Danan and Sulu and Holo in one vicinity?
Sulu is
Just one
a
set
small
of...
place, a small
Is that
island.
just one island? Holo and Sulu is just one island?
Yes.
So Sulu is a group of
No,
islands?
Sulu po is a group of
A group
islands.
of
Hulo
islands,
is
yeah.
the capital
One
of
the
Sulu.
islands, major island. Okay.
But Indanan and Hulo is parang ilang kilometers away from each other. So it's so near.
So this is in
na parang-
Indanan.
Yes, Indanan daw.
Have you had the chance to visit the place?
Well, it's not me who took the photos of
Yeah.
that place, but when my husband was assigned in Sulu, I asked him to take a photo of it. But when I go to Sulu, I don't get the chance to go there. Eh, sila po, when he was assigned there, sabi ko, picturean mo naman so that we can show it to our Chinese friends. But according to Teresita Angsi, the Puntauku name, parang it's everywhere because Puntauku, according to her, is a deity
Yes,
in
yes.
Chinese. So, yung travel daw po ni Admiral
Zheng He.
Zheng Ho,
Z-H-E-N-G.
Zheng Ho,
H
Tama po ba?
H-E.
I don't know how to
Zheng He.
pronounce it.
Zheng He.
Zheng Ho, are all documented well.
That's right.
So, lahat po ng travel niya, nakalagay doon yung mga countries that he went to or the places that he visited, navigated, no, to. But hindi po nakalagay ang Sulu.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's
sabi
very
niya,
clear he did go, or he or his emissary at the very minimum.
maybe,
Si
okay.
General Pei Pei,
Pei Pei,
which is
yeah.
the main name of this Puntao Kong, General Pei Pei, and so evidence. And of course, the story is that this general arrived maybe with Zheng He, but
Yeah.
although some accounts say Zheng He really did come to invite the Sultan of Sulu to China, and which happened in 1417. And today is 2017, the 600th year. Baka may special role ka dito sa history na, and of course you have been exercising your leadership, running for the Senate and so on. Maybe we theme this segment Princess Jacel Kiram, reviving ancient ties. Di ba, parang this brings you above the sense of mortality of human beings. Na you can feel a continuity of 600 years and more in the coming decades and centuries.
To be honest po, Kamentong, parang until now, at this very moment, I really cannot find the exact words to describe po. Yung talagang, I don't know I don't know how to describe what I feel, knowing that may ganitong klaseng istorya tayo and that we're part of it.
May I say that you now have a feeling of the sense of history or how it feels to have a sense of history. Hindi ba ito nagkukulang sa maraming kapwa Pilipino natin yung sense of history.
Yes.
Parang nagsimula na lang sa landing ni Magellan ang history.
1521, no?
Oo.
Sabi ko nga po, itong history books that we get to learn when we were in elementary and the high school, kulang po sa istorya na dapat itong prehistoric of the Philippines, dapat binibigyan po ng diin sa pag-aaral ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Dahil ito pong tomb na ito in Shandong is a very proof na when we were discovered by the Spaniards, we're not
Ang mga
illiterate.
descriptions ng...
We're not mangmang and we're not savages.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, ito pong visit ng Sultan of Sulu to the Emperor of
Yes,
China in
yeah.
Beijing, they can even build boats.
Yeah,
Marunong
yeah.
na po silang
And
gumawa ng mga
navigation,
barko. And
ah.
they can navigate from Sulu to China. And trading po and diplomatic relations is...
Siyempre, kung may trading ka, may record keeping ka na mga transaksyon and so on. And it just goes to show that we have to understand our history so that the Filipino people can have a deeper understanding of their own place in global and Asian history, di ba? Anong feeling mo ngayon about China? What were your thoughts while you were traveling and seeing these things?
That China po gives value to its history. Kasi I didn't get a chance to see a book here in the Philippines that writes about this history. But all the documentation pertaining to the history or the story of Sultan Batara is all in China. And the descendants po who stayed there and took care of the tomb, the Chinese government took care of
That's
them.
right. And
Well,
isipin mo, this is what impresses me most when I visited in 2015 doon sa Shandong. 600 years of Chinese history. So many dynasties have passed, revolutions have passed, different governments, Kuomintang government, communist government, hindi napuputol. There is a continuity of the care of that community that the emperor 600 years ago bestowed respect and special treatment to. Hindi nawawala, di ba?
Ang ganda po kasi tayo nga po in the Philippines where we have the Sultanate of Sulu. Konti na lang ho nakakaalam na may sultanato ng Sulu.
That's right.
And the members of the Sultanate of Sulu doesn't parang receive any recognition from the Philippine government na ang laki po ng role nila sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas and to reviving historical diplomatic relations with countries nearby. No? Like in China, sabi ko nga when I was in college and I was doing my thesis, when I learned all about this, kasi po, you do na your own research that's beyond school, that's beyond the classroom. So you do your own research and I found out about this. Sabi ko, sayang naman, why is the Sultanate of Sulu not important in the Philippine government? Sabihin na po natin, everyone is ruled by a political leader, but then, ano po ba man lang yung to maintain and give recognition to this very important part of history?
Yes. What were your thoughts before you arrived in China? About China and
About
about
China.
relations?
Well, about China, I did not expect that it's more beautiful than in Europe. I've been to
Really?
Europe
Yeah,
when I
really.
represented in the Model United Nations Assembly in Vienna. So we get to tour for 15 days in Europe. So ang ganda po ng architecture. But when I went to China, kahit dun po lang sa Shandong, no, it's still developing, but ang laki po ng mga kalsada, like 6 lanes, ang highway and the bridge. Hindi mo alam na bridge pala yung dinadaanan mo because I think 30 minutes just to cross that bridge to go to Tezu. Tezu. Ang ganda, everything, lahat po ng pagtayo ng buildings, talagang yung city planning is...
That's right. Dinala
really
kayo
good.
sa exhibition hall of the
Yes, we've
of
seen the
Shandong.
we've seen the museum of
Museum,
Shandong, how parang the stories of Shandong is all in that museum. So hanggang yung modern era na po ngayon, it started nung yung most important, I think they make it very significant yung when Sultan Batara was buried in Shandong.
One of the very memorable statements from a Filipino who lived in China, and si Erickson Bacolino, sabi niya, China shows us what is possible. Because China just 60, 70 years ago, it came after the war and civil war, devastated. In such short period of time, this is what you see, a huge modern society.
When my mom went there in 1999, Shandong looks very different from what it is today. And that was just how many years ago. Kung iko-compara po natin yung Shandong versus sa development in the Philippines, from 1999 to 2017, paki-compute na lang po how many years is that, no? Ang laki po ng pagbabago ng Shandong. Ang sabi nga po ng mami ko, Shandong is just like a place in
Parang
Holong.
probinsya.
Na parang very remote in 1999.
99.
But when she was able to get back, ito pong visit namin, 2017, it's very different.
Less than 20 years yun, mga 18 years lang.
Ang ganda po, ang ganda.
And that is what can happen to the Philippines, to the southern provinces natin, if we focus on development.
Yes.
Di ba? Because that's what China did, focus on development. O yung politika nila medyo talagang limited.
Yun nga po, because I get to campaign, no? I get to campaign in 2016, so nakaikot po tayo sa buong Pilipinas, halos buong Pilipinas. And we get to see na some areas are progressive, some areas or provinces are talagang really left behind. pag nag-uusap-usap nga po kami, parehas lang naman po ang sistema ng bawat local government. So, ibig sabihin, kung pare-parehas ang sistema, we can also expect same result. But it's a matter of implementation of the leader. So, it boils down po talaga sa leadership.
Yes.
Na ang kawawa po kasi dito, yung taong bayan, that they don't get to receive the very basic services that the government should provide each and every of its citizen.
That's why I don't know if you have had time kasi you traveled to follow the events here. Bumisita si Vice Premier Wang Yang ng China, signed $10 billion of deals, and there are more, $1.7 billion of purchases of fruit, foodstuffs, maybe mga duck meat and fish and so on. That's 85 billion pesos. And then the 10 billion, which will be ultimately $25 billion. Puro capital investment, yung mga bridges and so on that you see there, we will have them around Mindanao, yung mga trails, yung bridge across Guimaras, Iloilo, Negros, yung 30 minutes na bridge na tinakbo mo, we will have those things too. If we have this continuing productive relationship with China. And so, I hope the Philippines can have that future also, yung development. Now, we have mga 3-4 minutes left sa discussion. Your real impression and then what do you think are the possibilities of Philippine-China relations now that you've seen the prospects and the promise of such a cooperation?
Well, hanggang ngayon naglalaro pa rin po sa isipan ko kung ano. Well, I know that because of this story, because of the tomb of my ancestor in China, isa lang po ang ibig sabihin nito, that we have a very good relationship with China in the past. So, with that happening in the past, it can also happen now. Because according to my dad, when he was still alive, kwento po ito that was passed on to them by their forefathers, that during that time, when the Sulu Sultanate and China had a very good relationship, ang utos daw po ng Sultan ng Sulu is to protect the Chinese doing business in their area. So ang kasabihan pa nga daw po, isang edict ng Sultan was that kapag may isang Chinese na inagrabyado, ang katumbas daw po niyan, 10 heads of the native. So ano lang po ito, maybe it's an exaggeration, that we have to take care of these people doing business in our country. At the same time, because maybe that is also what they feel when they go to China.
That's right.
They are protected by the Chinese leaders and nakita naman po natin that the emperor talagang made effort to give the Sulu king at that time an emperor burial.
That's right. And 600 years, hindi nakalimutan yan.
600 years is 600 years. So, sabi ko nga po, ang laki ng ginawa. Well, this means so much to our family, with what the ambassador did, Ambassador Carlos Chan, honorary ambassador to China, to this tomb of the Sultan of Sulu. Pero sabi ko, malaking bagay din po ito na iiwanan niya for the future children of the Philippines and the future children of China. So that this would be a symbol na we can always have a very good and friendly relationship. Hindi nga lang po parang friendship ang turingan nila, but brotherhood between and among two countries. So napakalaking bagay po ng istoryang ito to be known to every child of this history.
That's right. Yeah. Well, sabi nga, ang hindi lumilingon sa pinanggalingan, hindi darating doon sa paruroonan. You saw a bit of where Philippine-China relations was in the past, I think this provides us vision. We have 30 seconds.
Well, yan din po, dudugtungan ko na rin po yan, sinabi niyong kamentong, na ang hindi marunong lumingon sa pinanggalingan, hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. Look at China before. Hindi po sila as developed as now, but they value their history. So kapag dumating ulit ang similar na pangyayari, they know how to deal with it because they study and give value to their history well. And according to the late Professor Yap, he always says this. Emmanuel Yap. Sabi niya, with history, we can build a strong nation.
Yes.
So I hope that this story of the tomb of Sultan Batara, we now have the responsibility to be able to make the next generation, make this known to the next generation. At saka talagang, I hope nga po that we can really write a book about this na pwede pong pag-aralan in the elementary and high school.
You will write a book about it.
Hopefully po, but I need help of people who's involved,
Marami
who
naman
knows about
marami.
this history.
And I will add a quote also from a historian journalist, E.P. Patanye, and I mentioned it earlier. The Sulu Kingdom was represented the Philippines, of course, at that time, was the emporium of Asia.
Yes.
Of course, that continued the relationship with China as a galleon trade, which also enriched the country. So this is a vision for the future, a productive, enriching relationship with China as the Philippines' brother, big brother in Asia. Maraming salamat, Princess. And
Maraming salamat.
I know you have to go back to your 4 children, take care of them, and then we'll have another
If
full
I may
hour
add,
with you.
pwede ko
please.
bang idagdag na yung kinagisnan ko pang sultanato ng Sulu ay isang mahirap na sultanato. Very ordinary po kaming namumuhay. But hindi lang ang kayamanan po pala, hindi lang ibig sabihin yan that you have so much money
That's
and
right,
wealth.
that's right.
Mayaman po talaga ang sultanato ng Sulu. Ito lang storya na ito.
Sa
No?
kasaysayan.
Sa kasaysayan. Napakayaman po
At
ng sultanato ng
Kung
Sulu.
may yaman sa kasaysayan, may yaman sa kinabukasan.
Ayan po, maganda.
Maraming salamat
Maraming
ulit.
salamat po, Kamentong, for having me here.
So, next we will have Victor Corpus, General Victor Corpus, who's listening right now, and his vision of making the Philippines a hub of the One Belt One Road,
Wow.
just as the Sultanate was the hub
Wow.
of trade between China and the rest of this region during the time of Sultan Paduka Batara. Maraming salamat,
Maraming
Princess.
salamat po, Kamentong.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, and tune in again for the second part of this discussion.